Welcome back. Today we are continuing through element 15 of your life book, How to Eat Healthy for Life. We are going to be looking at pages 295 to 300, protein, legumes, dairy, nuts. Got a lot going on. All right, so remember that 9-inch plate and 25% is for protein. Think of that as the size of a deck of cards after cooking. All right, so not cooking the cards, cooking your protein. Anybody going, what is she talking about? Well, here's the thing. We still want you to pick from the green to stay lean and healthy. In this, you will notice that the charts look a little bit different for the proteins. So they don't have the glycemic index because the glycemic levels for meat, fish, and poultry, they're negligible. All right. So, but what this chart does have, it has total fat and saturated fats. So he still color codes it for that. So this will help you guide for your choices. All right. So fish and seafood, let's talk about that first. When you eat fish, you're not only choosing a great protein source, you also have significantly the opportunity to reduce the risk of disease. The studies show that eating fish 1 to 3 times a week, it's an important habit of health and can actually have a profound impact on your well-being over time. Dr. A says that one serving of fish a week may reduce your risk of a fatal heart attack by 40%. That's amazing, right? So Dr. A does have a footnote in here, and I'm going to call that out, that pregnant women and young children should limit their intake of fish to once a week due to the potential for high mercury content in some fish. All right, that's just a footnote, so wanted to make sure that I shared that. Healthy fish and seafood, they actually provide high levels of omega-3 fatty acids, which are super important. So remember, seafood choices, we're doing this by the fat content. So let's move on to meat. So an important habit of health is to lower your consumption of red meat. The glycemic index charts show meats in the color-coded system, once again, by the fat, right? Total fat and saturated fat. There's he didn't put them in here from the other way. So when we talk about poultry, it's really chicken, turkey, and some other forms of poultry are healthier choices than red meat. So when I read this, I chuckled. I'm like, poultry and chicken and other forms of poultry, what's that? Well, let me tell you, duck, Cornish game hen, there's a couple examples for you, all right? So Dr. A, he says that, just another tidbit, free range or organic poultry can actually help you avoid those antibiotics and the growth hormones that are given to many of the commercially raised birds. You probably know that, but I'm just going to call it out again. So let's talk about eggs. Eggs, great source of protein. However, Dr. A says we should limit our daily intake of the dietary cholesterol to 200 milligrams a day. And that's the amount of one small egg. I was surprised at that, but I actually, not that I didn't believe it, but I did look it up separately and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so there's no limit to the amount of egg whites that you could eat as long as it fits on that 25% of your plate that's devoted to protein. All right, legumes. So this, Dr. A loves this group. This is the beans, peas, lentils. And the reason why it's his favorite functional food and one of his top picks for these legumes is because a cup is approximately 110 to 115 calories. And he said that's the best fuel you can buy. So there's many different varieties for your protein portion of your meal. All of them are low glycemic and they do an excellent job in turning off your insulin pump. So he also goes on to say a word about soy, and this is what he finds is particularly amazing legume. He said soybeans actually have twice as much protein than other legumes and provide nearly as many essential amino acids as animal proteins, but without the saturated fats. He said they're a great source of calcium as well, so a great alternative to dairy products. In addition, soy, it's naturally occurring in isoflavonoids, which is the phytonutrients that protect against cardiovascular disease and osteoporosis. So that's kind of important. And that's why he has that as being the top choice of protein in the portion-controlled meal replacements or the fuelings that we use on a lot of our programs. But he also wanted to point out that when you refine that into soybean oil, it loses his vote because he said it's actually then full of omega-6, which is inflammatory. And he said that's everywhere. He said, look at your salad dressing bottles. So that's pretty interesting, right? So let's talk about cheese and dairy products. Dairy products, I found this interesting. they're not a necessary food group once we reach adulthood because, it's more for when you're younger. And they can actually have a ton of calories in them. So Dr. A suggests that you avoid them at least during the weight loss phase, right? Within reason. If you enjoy them, they can be a good source of calcium and protein and other nutrients. But just remember, they also are quite high on the glycemic index. 1 ounce of a cheese is a really small amount. Think of the size of 2 AA batteries. That's like a baby portion. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Then let's talk about seeds and nuts. I'll say great. They're health giving, low glycemic, protein rich, but here's the but, they're also full of some healthy fats. Okay. So you're like, oh, healthy fats is good. Yes, within reason. Research indicates that walnuts actually may be even more important than olive oil in creating that health boosting effects with the popular Mediterranean diet. But nuts and seeds, they're extremely energy dense, meaning they pack a lot of calories into that small amount. And those calories can add up in a hurry, right? So a serving size is really not more than a handful. And the challenge that I see with nuts, working with hundreds and hundreds of clients, is that when they start eating nuts, they can't stop. They just keep going for more. So if that's your trigger, stay away. All right, that's it for today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about grains, fats, and fiber. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit longer. I'll do the best I can to get through it, but there's a lot of information. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you for joining me as we continue through element 15. Please feel free, like, comment, share the post. Hop on over to the YouTube channel called Healthy and Vibrant, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.